We are getting ready for the 100th episode of Oxygen Cold Justice with a two-part special. Kelly Siegler here to give us a preview. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Thank you.
100 episodes, 21 convictions, 55 arrests. I mean, this show is making a big impact.
It sure is, and we're so proud of that. And it's been a lot of work and a lot of heartbreak and a lot of success, and we're so excited to be doing what we're doing.
This upcoming episode features a 2007 murder of a popular college student.
Okay, so our 100th case that we've worked on in the past 10 years turns out to be the most famous unsolved murder case in the whole state of North Dakota. Anita Knutson's case is huge there. And so it was a lot of pressure to take it on because to those people, there's no bigger case to work on. You know, everybody knows about John Benet Ramsey. Well, in North Dakota, they know about Anita Knutson. So taking on that case file, which was a huge file and it was a big compliment that they trusted us enough to bring us in. We're the first agency that's been allowed to look at their entire file, which led to a lot of good work and a lot of progress. So we were very excited to be able to do that.
One of the interesting things, especially as the years go on, is how technology has shaped whether, the investigations or new discoveries and whatnot. Talk a little bit about the beginning of the show versus now and how technology has had an impact.
Well, everybody is fascinated with DNA. And the newest technology with DNA is investigative genetic genealogy, which is groundbreaking. I knew, a lot of people didn't think about it, but I knew going in, DNA wasn't going to be the way that we solved hardly any of our cases, because those DNA cases that we work on, everything's already been tested years ago. We do test things for DNA, hoping for that miracle. It has happened on the show. We did test things for DNA in Anita Knutson's case because the cops always hold out hope that that's going to be the way to break the case. But I never go into a case trying to work it, betting on the DNA being how we solve the case, because in my mind, those are all the easy ones. Those have all been worked and done. We got to focus on it the harder way.
Speaking of the hard way, also for families to talk about this, years after, something horrible has happened, is still so emotional. What's it like talking to the families and hoping that there's a resolution for them, or at least being able to find some peace?
Every time you go meet a family, I'm driving up thinking, okay, I need to make them understand that we can't promise that anything's going to happen. And I do that. It doesn't make the show, but I do that. And I drive away thinking it doesn't matter how many times I tell them not to get their hopes up. Their hopes are up. They have to be up, because look at what's happening for the first time in a long time to their case. And we all know, the family knows, and we know when we drive away that case, if it's not solved, it's going to be put on the shelf forever. So this is the last best chance to get something to happen. The pressure is huge. The emotions are raw. Nobody's faking anything in those meetings. We all know what's at stake, and it's a lot. It's a lot going on there when we meet those families, and they know it, and we all know it too.
Especially where there's something where multiple people are involved, or there could have been multiple witnesses. Sometimes people are afraid to come, to say anything at first, or they may have said something to a significant other or a friend or something in passing that always kind of was in the back of their mind, like, this doesn't seem 100% right. Is there a certain amount of time that you've noticed of time passing before someone's willing to open up that maybe they didn't think about at the beginning of an investigation?
That is a great question. And you just hit on the key to the cases right there. It's those witnesses where enough time has passed in their lives to where they're willing to tell what they always knew or thought or wondered or appreciated. And those are the little pieces of circumstantial evidence that I'm looking for. Those are the jackpot pieces. And you just hit the nail on the head. That's exactly the best way to solve these cases. Thank you, sir.
Oh, well, of course, I love watching these shows. And, I think one of the hopes you have is that there's an arrest, there's some peace made, there's a conviction, there's something, at the end, so that the families can find peace. But sometimes, it's always so interesting that it's always the neighbor or the friend or the ex-boyfriend or girlfriend who happened to be holding on to something, maybe not necessarily knowing this was the key that the authorities were looking for.
Exactly. And if you can find one or two or three of those people, yes, that's exactly what you're looking for. You got it.
Tell us a little bit about getting that call that we've made an arrest in this case. There's a conviction coming there. There's some kind of progress of the episode that you made. Tell us a little bit about that feeling for you and for the staff of Cold Justice as well.
Well, when we get that news that the DA is taking it to a grand jury and there's an indictment, or the trial starts tomorrow, because we have a trial starting on the one in Jonesboro, Arkansas in October. I'm constantly in communication with every cop we've ever worked with on all those cases, getting updates. The updates aren't always good. And I think that, I see the comments where people say, can we have an update show? I don't think people realize how slowly the criminal justice system works. It takes years, especially now things are even more backed up. So we get those calls and we get so excited and we want to celebrate just like the family does. And those are really, really special moments when that happens.
Yeah, there's so many times here, you watch the news and you hear something and then you wonder what's going to happen. And then 6 months later, a year later, 2 years later, then you're like, oh.
How about 4 years? Some of these are 4 years old, 5 years old, and they're in the system. It's still pending. It's still all good, but nothing big has happened yet. You just have to be really patient.
And the final thing, a reflection on yourself as far as starting the show. We're going into the 100th episode, obviously a big milestone, but what does it feel like to reach this point for you and the staff?
I can't believe it. I think when we first started doing this, I told myself, wow, if we even make one season, that's really huge. And that was 10 years ago. And now it's 100 cases and 100 shows. And this show truly is a living, breathing miracle. The fact that we can make this happen and put it all together and keep on going and bring justice all over this country, it's really, really special. And I think that we all know that.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. Cold Justice airs on Oxygen, 2-part 100th anniversary special, October 1st and October 8th. Kelly, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.